What is up, Karma Nation? Welcome here for the second live stream of today. That is right, we are here with the soccer football guru, Frosty. As you guys know, he's the guy that drops all of the fire. And then, of course, to my, I guess my right on the screen, but actually my left over here, this guy. We have Luke, who's our analytics wizard. My favorite term to call him. He's the guy that powers all of the data dashboards you see on the site, including the MB, very popular NBA data dashboard with all the projections. Now he's built ourselves a soccer data dashboard. We're still kind of working out the tweaks of getting it built into the site. Now there's a chance we'll pull it up here on the stream when we reference it, but it's not something you can go on the site as of this particular slate. We wanted to make sure that we did a live stream for you guys. Because we know there's hectic craziness. There's people out there that just they have that itch, that scratch. They have to get some DFS playing in here. The degens and whatnot, and we want to make sure that we give you guys as much content as possible while 99% of the leagues around the world are shutting down temporarily here. That being said, DraftKings decided to put a crazy GPP contest together, a $20K to first place for the Liga MX, which is something that I'm sure Frosty, being the soccer guy, is extremely excited about. Right?
Yeah,
We've been up all night.
we've never had. Yeah,
We've been up all night.
We've been going back and forth all day, me and Luke. But man, like this is like World Cup status, right? Like
yeah, I was just about to say that. We haven't said anything this good since we did the World Cup stuff. Oh man. But so how this is going to work out? We're kind of playing it by ear here for the Liga MX, but we're going to be going to Frosty for his favorite forward for both GPPs and cash, midfielder, D, and then of course the goalkeeper there. And then of course with Luke having the soccer data dashboard and all of the analytic abilities, he's going to be either confirming what Frosty says is a good play based on data, or disagreeing and then saying who the data says to go with there. So we do these live streams for you guys to give you guys the opportunity to ask questions live and get them answered by both of these guys. So no matter where you're watching this right now, whether it's Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, Twitch, LinkedIn, you have that chat opportunity. Log in, ask questions, get them answered. But make sure that at any point during the stream, and even afterwards, if you haven't yet, go to karmamedia.live, so throw that in your browser, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. All you see, if you're not on YouTube right now watching this, you will only see the live streams. You're never going to see the recorded podcast. Those are only on our Karma Media YouTube channel. You can either search DFS Karma or search Karma Media. It'll pop up either way. Some other housekeeping things. If you notice to the rotating ads here to the side of Frosty's face, you see that we still have that DraftKings promotion going on right now, which especially for this massive 20K to first place contest is huge if you have not taken advantage of it yet. With our partnership with DraftKings, they're giving everyone a $20 free credit on any deposit of $20 or more. Now you have to click the head banner on dfskarma.com. So go to dfskarma.com, click on the head banner on the top. Doesn't matter if you're on desktop or mobile or whatever. And then after you click that banner, log in, deposit $20 or more, and you're instantly going to see an additional $20 in credit thanks to our partnership with them. Now, after we finish the DFS side of things, we're also going to be talking a little bit about Prize Picks, because we just noticed before we started that Prize Picks just added some Liga MX players. So at the very end, hang out with us, go to prizepicks.online, pull up the app, and then yeah, we're going to see who their favorite players are. So that being said, let's get right into the business. Frosty, what are you looking at in terms of forwards on the GPP and cash side? Actually, a first quick question before you start there, that for me is, with this 4-game slate, is there cash opportunities with this 4-game slate? And if there are you still playing your... Because with EPL, of course, we always have, typically on most slates, we always have more than 4 games. What is your cash to GPP ratio for this slate? And then go ahead with your favorite forwards you're looking at.
Well, I'm going to play cash for sure, but that GPP is so good that I'm gonna throw like a bunch of tournaments options there. So I'll probably do about 40 GPP, 60% cash, just because that GPP is massive up top. So I want to take a couple of shots, right? But it's fine if you guys want to do like 80-20. I think it's a very cash playable slate. There might be some very popular plays that we'll talk about, and then maybe we can have some nice pivots to get that leverage that we need today.
All right. So who's your forward for cash? Since you are playing cash, who are you looking at to lock there?
Well, everybody's gonna start with Gignac, André Pierre Gignac for Tigres. He's 10.4K. He is this French guy that I don't know why he's still in Mexico. Like honestly, he could be playing anywhere in the world. He is amazing. He's a really good player. So he will be the starting plays for everybody. I think he's going to be in cash. If he's under 80%, like that's just insane. He should be 100% owned. So in GPP, you can leverage off him and play maybe Javier Aquino for 7.9K same game, and he has just as much upside as Gignac. And in GPPs, I don't mind stacking those two, which I don't think will be popular.
All right, now so say those for people who haven't played
I
any
know.
soccer at all. Say those names one more time for us. So the two people you're talking about. Yeah, go ahead and say those names for the people who have no
Yeah,
idea.
so I know. And I should probably be on Twitch as well and typing down the names in
Yeah.
case it makes it easier for people, especially because
Gignac.
in yeah, Gignac, 10.4K forward for Tigres for uh yeah, I hope that helps.
And who was the second one you mentioned after him?
Javier
Aquino.
Aquino, yeah.
Aquino. Okay.
Yeah, he plays for Tigres as well, and he's 7.9K.
Now, bouncing off to analytics wizard Luke, what are your data dashboards saying for both of those forwards? Agreeing, disagreeing, and if not, who is the cash forward for from the data dashboard anyway?
Yeah, I think I mean you can't really deny Gignac, mostly because even though he is at a 10-4, based on this slate, the fact that it's 4 games, the fact that he has a positive defense versus position effect, and one of the stats that we use on the data dashboard is results independency. So players that have a lot of goals, if you think about it in the EPL, you might have somebody who is like Danny Ings, for example, is a player that scores a lot of goals but doesn't do a lot else, doesn't get a lot of assists, doesn't do a lot of crosses, doesn't get fouled a whole lot. So his floor is automatically lower, and you're really relying on him to score. And if he doesn't score, he becomes an ineffective player for you. Players at this type of salary range, you want them to give you those peripherals. And I think Gignac, just because of his talent, he's just going to cause a problem for Juarez where he is, and he doesn't depend on goals as much to get his average amount of points. So I think he's where you start and end, really. I think, like Frosty said, I think he'll be owned 75-80% in cash, and he might even be owned 40-50%, maybe more in GPP as well. I think a lot of people will plug him in. He'll be the highest owned player, and everybody you can kind of just set and forget about that for sure. Another one that I like for cash, Frosty, I don't know if you saw him, but Carlos Gonzalez for
Yeah.
Pumas.
Mhm.
He's 5,900. He's one of the cheapest starting forwards or proposed starting forwards on the slate. He does have a little bit of a negative defense versus position effect on him, but again, he's got a low amount of goal dependency on his points. He's got a decent shot to score. If Pumas score, right, he's got a 31% chance to be that goal scorer. And then a 10% chance to be the person that assists that goal. They're projected due to Vegas right now to score 0.99 goals. So with it being one goal, he
One
has
goal.
about a 40% chance of being involved in that goal. Gignac, for example, is like 62% chance of being involved in 1.5 goals. So obviously his ceiling is going to be a lot higher. But when you're looking at projected points or projected opportunity versus price, I think Carlos Gonzalez for Pumas is really a ticket there.
Now, are these players you would also be throwing into the GPPs as well, or are you looking completely opposite, or just different players altogether for that Frosty?
Now you can play all those on GPP. I mean, Gignac, I'm probably gonna play 10 lineups, and I'm gonna have it like on 8 out of the 10. I'm gonna be super overexposed to him because he's just, if somebody scores a hat trick, like the chances that it's him is like over 50%. So I I love him on GPPs today as well.
Is there anybody that we
But
haven't
if
mentioned?
you
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. So if you are not gonna play Gignac, probably on for forwards, I'll look at the Guadalajara forwards because they are a slight favorite at home, but they play very. I love their style, their game style to score goals and to get scores. So that's a good game to game stack. Um, so again, Guadalajara, and then you can play either. Macias. Let me see how much is Macias. Let's make it easier for you guys.
7,400 it looks like.
Yes, yes, 7,400. So Macias, he will be good, and then Cisneros should be super cheap. Let me check salary. Cisneros 5.4K. So there you go. I don't mind either of those two for Guadalajara.
All right. So, is there anything else you want to touch on, Luke, for the forwards, or do you want to move now to the midfielder side of things?
I think from a GPP standpoint, again, reliant on goals. You're looking at people who have a high DK average points, but maybe they're dependent on goals. So if they're the ones that score, I would stay in that game. But I'd actually go on to the other side, Frosty, instead of Guadalajara, going with Monterrey. So this guy, again, I don't know these players very well, but Dorlan Pabon.
Okay.
8,400. He's got a positive effect for defense versus position. Vegas likes more than a goal being scored here for both sides. So I think if you're pivoting off of Gignac for whatever reason, or you're deciding to punt him, I think you can get a lot of value with Pabon with only $2,000 basically in the bank.
Yeah. No, and I love him. I was like, he's actually my favorite midfielder. So I guess he's a midfielder forward
Mm-hmm.
eligible. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and besides that, I mean, he has the majority of the set pieces. So as some of you guys know, set pieces is crucial in order to have a floor for your players. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he takes about 85% of their, no, more than that, 85% of their free kicks. So yeah, Pabon, it's perfect transition because he's my favorite midfielder for today.
So, a question from YouTube looks like it's from Sarugi. They're asking if you have any concerns that the Tigres and Juarez game is not going to play because there was some news that dropped on Twitter that it may
Yeah,
not.
I think they play. The article, if you read it, well, most people can't read it because it's in Spanish, but it say that the government is advising them to close the game. But I mean, they were advising them to shut down both games yesterday, and Liga MX just said like, we don't care about that. We're getting all the money right now. We're getting everything. We're just gonna keep going.
Yeah,
So
it's like not
yeah,
even like Mexican market share. It's like worldwide market share that this league's getting right
yeah.
now.
Seriously, man, I wonder like what the handles are right now for DraftKings Sportsbook about Liga MX. They're probably like overfloated with bets.
So yeah, let's move on now to the midfielder side. As I mentioned before, guys, if you're watching this, if you have questions, just jump up, throw them in the chat like people are doing right now, and we'll get to them one at a time. And if you tune in at any point, so if you just miss like all of the forward talk as we're transitioning into the midfield side, all this is going to be replayable. We have what 2.5 hours to lock, so you have plenty of time to watch this and rewind, fast forward, all that jazz. That being said, let's jump into the midfield side. Who are the top midfielders, if not just one of them? You're looking on the cash side, Frosty.
Yeah, I think we mentioned Pavon, so I think we should be good there. But yeah, he's really popular today too. But honestly, my favorite midfielder is Rafael Carioca. He's 3.8K and he plays for Tigres. He's another one that should be like super highly owned. He just started taking all the set pieces for Tigres, and I mean he's only 3.8K. So if you pair him and Guignac, it's like you're playing what like 7K for two players, which is totally fine. So I think Carioca and Guignac are both going to be over 80% in cash.
We just had another question from Sarugi on YouTube. Wants to know, would it be smart to fade that game in GPPs in case it doesn't play?
Of course, that's always a good strategy. But I mean, the game starts. Oh yeah, it starts at 6. So yeah, a lot of people are gonna get. But I think that if they are going to postpone the game, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be before the slate even logs. I don't think they'll go. They'll wait for people to get there in the stadium and all that stuff.
Well, I think too, you get a double benefit if you decide to fade that game, right? Because you're fading Gignac, for
Yeah.
example. So you're getting double the effect from a GPP standpoint if that game cancels, and you can't pivot from Gignac anyway. So I think if you're fading that game as fading goals from that game, essentially, you might as well fade Gignac as well because. I mean, I guess you can just have a piece of him and then like just ignore the rest of that game, but there's going to be goals in that game.
Yeah, for sure. So like that would be a good pivot. And they just well not just, but an hour ago they just said that they're not gonna have any fans in the stadium for tonight's game. So I think that means that they're playing.
Well, we also told that with March Madness though, so anything's possible. Who knows?
Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
Now, before we go to the GPP side for on the midfield, Luke, what is your thoughts midfield wise for cash?
So I've got an interesting conundrum, and I was talking with Frosty about this offline before we started. The two guys that have the highest fantasy value above replacement for me are Angel Mina and Luis Montez, both from Lyon, and they're playing Pumas now. Pumas has a great midfield overall, and they really affect the effectiveness of the opposing midfield. So these two guys, they're two of the higher priced midfielders on the slate. They're part of a heavily favored side against Pumas. They're supposed to be goal odds of 1.41. Mina, for example, or Mena, has 24% goal share, which means well, it means what it means. 10% assist share, and then Montez is kind of the flip opposite of that. So, but they're facing a pretty heavy defense now. Usually, and they're away too. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong,
They're
Frosty.
home.
So they're at home. So
Yeah, they're
the
home.
thing is, playing in front of no fans, you're kind of eliminating some of the home field
Yeah,
advantage. So you can't really rely on them maybe to kind of go out and boss a midfield, especially against a team that bosses other midfields around. So I think fading those guys is interesting. GPP wise, again, people are going to look at the data. And again, if people are paying up for Gignac and Aquino, for example, Frosty, they're not going to be able to afford Mena
yeah,
and Montez and Pabon, right? So they're going to have to make decisions there. But I actually like the guys from, I guess the two guys from Puebla. It's
mm,
Christian Tabo and Osvaldo Martinez. So they're both really on the super cheap side. They
yeah, they
both
are.
have a positive defense versus position effect, um, but it doesn't look like there's going to be that many goals in that game. So if there's going to be goals, these guys will be involved, and you'll get them at 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 cheaper than some of the guys at the top end.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And honestly, I'm okay with Montes from Leon. He's gonna have all the set pieces for the most part, so I'm okay with him. But again, if I'm gonna pay 8.3K for him, why don't I just pay the same for Pavon, right? So
Right,
that's
right.
so I think in GPPs, if you pair Mena and Montes, that's gonna be one of my GPPs actually. You are gonna be really contrarian the rest of your lineup because just how much you're paying for them, right? So I don't mind that in a game stack type of thing, Minion Montes, because I mean the data doesn't lie. If they score a goal, they're going to be involved somehow.
Yeah.
Now, is that both cash and GPP strategy of stacking both of them?
That's more GPP, Travis, because
Yeah,
I think if you pay for both of them, you can't get Gignac, because then everything else is going to be min priced after that, pretty much.
Gotcha. So
yeah.
we don't see any opportunity on cash for a stars and scrubs build.
Yes, I do see it, but you want to focus Gignac instead of the Leon guys for
Gotcha.
sure.
All right. Let's. Is there any other midfielders on the GPP side of things that we're looking to plug in if we're not paying up for the Mania
I want to I
Montes?
want to keep an eye on the Guadalajara starting lineup. I know Lopez has been sick with the flu, supposedly regular flu only.
Blue.
So I don't think he's gonna start. And if he doesn't start, then Brizuela, 4.9K for Guadalajara, then he should have the majority of the set pieces, and he's only 4.9K, so he allows you for a cheap midfielder to pair with Carioca, and then you can spend up everywhere else.
Now, are we
And
expecting?
it's important
Go
to
ahead.
understand, Travis, too, that with the data dashboard, like it only updates as lineup information comes out, similar to MLB, right? You can have the projected lineup up until a certain point, but when that lineup comes out, obviously that changes how the whole slate is organized. So the first game kicks off at 6 Central, so at 5 Central is when the lineups will release. So it's important to keep refreshing, the data dashboard when you have it up. Reloading, deleting your cache, all that sort of stuff, because when those lineups release is when that data starts to trickle in and auto populate with new players or players that we've been projecting all day.
Gotcha.
So I
And
wouldn't
then
necessarily build a lineup based on the dashboard like at 8 a.m. because
Yeah.
news comes in, people change, people get sick or whatever. So
And then a question for you, Frosty, is I know when we do like the EPL slates and everything that there's pretty much all but maybe one or two games start at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So at 9 a.m. we have
Mhm.
all of the starting rotations, the lineups and whatnot. Now, in regard to this one that doesn't necessarily have every single game starting at the same time, are we still going to get all of the starting lineups an hour before the first game kicks off?
Yes, we are most likely. Sometimes the teams tweet their lineups a little bit earlier, but I don't think so. It's honestly going to be probably an hour before the game, and there's three starting times, which makes it good for GBPs too, because you can always move around if you're far behind and things like that. So you got to pay attention
All
the
right,
whole day.
so starting lineups drop at 6 p.m. Eastern time with the first game kicking off at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Now make sure you're in our Discord. I'm sure that Luke and Frost are going to be in there, chiming in on any unexpected non-starts or expected starts and all that jazz. Let's go to now from the midfield, transitioning to the defensive side of things. Uh, every time I say anything defender wise when it comes to doing a stream or a pod with Frosty on EPL wise and World Cup wise, the name that came out of his mouth every single time we get to defenders was always Trippier. No matter what, no matter the slate, it was always him. So it's funny. I just had that. I had that nostalgia just go through. Like still true. But now for this league, the Liga MX, what is the cash play for defenders?
Well, I usually don't pay up for defender in Liga MX because it's a more midfielder centric league rather than EPL, where EPL is a lot of crosses, like a lot of just a fullback going up and crossing. Like they have a very similar style. And in Liga MX, it's actually, I believe I don't know if the data will back it up, but it seems like it's always the midfielders taking all the set pieces. But um, today I'll probably be spending up at the defender. I already did my first couple lineups, and I started with Luis Reyes, 6.6K. It's easy to find. He's the most expensive player, and he has a good amount of set pieces of the team, so that always brings up his upside. So he will probably be one of my first players in as well.
We have a question, I guess. Sarugi is asking a ton of questions. I love it on YouTube. He says,
No, that's good.
do you like Ibanez?" Which I think would have been the
Yeah,
other
Ibanez.
side.
Yeah, Ibanez is fine. He is actually, let me just double check. I think he's in my price picks. Yes, sir. He's in my price picks play. So a little foreshadowing of what's to come. But Ibanez is fine. I like him. I like his goal scoring odds, and I don't think he's going to be high owned because of again his price. You're going to have to pick two of those expensive forwards, and I think Ibanez is probably going to be one of the ones left down.
All right, then let's go back to the defender side. Who else are you looking for, if any, on the cash side of things?
The other one, the cheap one that I was looking at is Nicolas Sanchez. He's only 3.8K, which is it's pretty affordable. And I'm also gonna wait for the Guadalajara starting lineups because I have a feeling that there's gonna be another cheap defender popping out from there.
And then Luke, what about you for what is the data saying for cash defender?
So when I build my lineups, typically for EPL, I try to find as cheap as I can at first. Nicolas Sanchez pops for me as well, just for his price. And Guadalajara, even though they play pretty open-ended, Frosty, their goal odds are only 1.1, and maybe that's some of that the uncertainty of who's going to be starting, who's going to be healthy, and all that sort of stuff. So I agree with him. Another name that I thought of was Jesus Dueñas from Tigres. So he has they're facing Juarez, which Juarez is slated to score, or they have goal odds of 1.5. But Tigres have been sneaky good on defense as well, even with this DVP. The DVP is positive for Duenas, but his expected clean sheet is actually coming out of the data as a 40% chance, which for Tigres is the highest clean sheet probability on the slate. So it's a little bit of conflicting data there. So I'm wondering, 5.7, he seems too expensive maybe to take that risk for cash though.
I'm okay with him. I don't mind him. I don't think we're gonna be able to spend up for two defenders though, so that's gonna be the only issue there. I think we need if we're paying up 6.6K for one of them, the other one has to be cheap.
What do you think about another one that I thought of was Daniel Arriola and Nicolas Sanchez, pairing them together?
That's fine. I don't mind that. I actually think that game is going to be a draw. If not a
Mhm.
0-0, it will probably be like a 1-1. So I don't mind the double stack there.
They have the over under for goals scored in that game to be 1.7 between the two teams.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I
it's going to
know.
be a pretty steady on hard fought game there.
Yeah, I
Two
know.
questions popped up here on YouTube. Actually, strategy one. So I really like these questions. First one from Justin on YouTube. First time soccer DFS player. First off, welcome to Soccer DFS Live. He says he goes for obvious reasons with nothing else. But he goes, what is the now? This is something we'll get to in a second. But since it's strategy, we can answer it now. What is the best position to play at utility? He goes for NBA, usually center or a point guard are the plays for me. But for soccer, is there something we tend to target more in terms of forward or midfielder, utility wise?
It depends. I'll say that most of the time you're getting a forward that has set pieces. I mean, a midfielder that has set pieces, but it's slate dependent. But for today, I have a midfielder. Yeah, because midfielders usually have the safest floors. So for cash, I want to get three midfielders that have set pieces. So that will be the strategy. But for GPPs, I mean, in order today to win the 20K, we're gonna have to score a bunch of points. So I don't mind having a third forward.
Now, before we get to the second question, just because we do know, especially Justin here, like I said, welcome for to joining us here with the soccer DFS stuff. Is just quickly explain to someone. I know you both are saying set pieces a lot, but for someone who doesn't really watch soccer or played soccer DFS, kind of go over set pieces and why exactly you're
Mhm.
targeting people that have them.
Yeah, so set pieces is basically after a foul or a corner kick. And usually what teams do, they cross the ball, right? So when you cross the ball, you're getting a point for or 0.75 for that. So it's good to have that floor, right? So if somebody's going to take 10 set pieces and he's going to cross like all 10 times, then his floor is what, like 7.5 points. So it's a good place to start, right? It's kind of um, like a sport, right? I can think, for example, for football and PPR, right? You know you're gonna get a point per every catch, so you want to target people that have a lot of catches because even if they get 10 catches for 2 yards, it doesn't matter. You're still getting the 10 points, right? So it's kind of the same
Someone
idea.
gets 10 catches for 2 yards though. There's a problem there. But yeah, I know what you're saying. Uh, now,
I think if you think of it too, results come in soccer from you having the ball at your feet. So
Mhm.
whether it's in the run of play or at set pieces like corners, free kicks, penalties, indirect, you're having a shot to
oh well,
cross
you're you're
60
you're
people.
breaking up there a little bit, Luke. Just say that last sentence one more time.
No, I was just saying that you mentioned Trippier, and he's the guy who would cross 15 or 16 times a game. So that elevated his floor because you knew that he was going to be able to do that, taking corners and things.
Gotcha. Second question here, before we wrap up on the defender side. Sarugi says, when you get to goalies, can you explain how you're supposed to choose one? So before we get to goalies, before we answer that question, is there any more details, GPP wise and whatnot, for defenders that we want to touch on here?
I don't mind pairing the two defenders and the goalkeeper. I think it's a good strategy because you get all the upside of the clean sheet, right? So pairing both defenders from the same team and their goalkeeper, it's a pretty good strategy.
For both cash and GPP, or just one or the other?
Just GPP. For cash, it's very hard to predict clean sheets. Clean sheets is probably the hardest thing to predict ever. It's a lot harder than touchdowns for sure.
All right. So, Luke, do you have anything else on the defender side before we jump into goalkeepers?
Yeah, I mean, I would just echo Frosty's sentiment. Don't go fishing for clean sheets, unless you're playing a heavy favorite with the keeper. Sometimes with the utility slot, my third position, I'll actually do a third defender and try to match that up with a heavy favorite goalkeeper, just to be weird and try to bank basically on them holding that clean sheet, which again is difficult.
Gotcha. And then, Frosty, anything else on defender side?
I think we're ready for goalkeepers.
All right. So before we get to the goalkeeper side, one other question from Sarugi popped up here from YouTube. how much does spreads, and I guess just Vegas in general, how much does Vegas spreads, odds in general, go into your thinking process when building lineups?
I think I consider them. I want to look at things like, for example, Luke mentioned how the game is projected for a 1 point something goal, so you know it's going to be low scoring. So I always keep those in the back of my mind. It's not the main thing that I look at, but I for sure consider them. Like for example, Tigres today, they have a 62% chance of winning, so I want to target them today, right? So I consider them, but it's not as much as over unders on NBA. I'll say it's probably a little bit less than that.
Okay, so with defense, like you said, don't go chasing the clean sheets. But if you see a team that's favored by, I don't know if there's any team for this slate, but just in general, like let's just say 2.5 goals, you know that they score 2 goals early, they're not going to be as crazy offensively. Probably be a lot more defensive. Not necessarily parking the bus, but
Yeah.
would you not chasing, like you said, the clean
Mhm.
sheets? Do you target teams that have a crazy lopsided goal advantage?
Yeah, I probably will. But you know what? The good thing about Liga MX is that all the teams are fairly similar. It's not like EPL where like Man City plays are like -1,000 favorite. Like you will never see a Liga MX game where the favorite's more than like 400 or 500. So that makes the competition level all around a lot better. So it's not going to be a huge difference. Like in EPL, I know sometimes we'll see Man City like a -1,400 favorite. Like you're not going to see that in Liga MX.
Now that we transition now to the goalkeeper side, just to kind of get more information about your strategy, your GPP strategy of kind of blending the two defenders with the goalkeeper, is that you finding two defenders on a team you like and then just plugging in the goalkeeper, or do you start with the goalkeeper and then like find the best goalkeeper you like and then go with the defenders after that?
With GPP, I basically take keepers who are going to have the most amount of expected saves. So what my data dashboard does is take the goal odds and then basically does calculations about how defenses that are facing those goal odds, what are the amount of expected shots, and then of the shots that that keeper faces, how many of them does he save as well? And so it gives me an expected saves option. Obviously, if you get somebody who even if they score 2 goals against someone, but they've made 7 saves and they're like 3,800. They're more than meet their value threshold. Whereas if you take somebody who, for example, like Nahua Guzman for Tigres, right? He's 5,600. He's the most expensive on the slate. If somehow Juarez scores that goal and keeps them from clean sheet, he would have to make probably about 4 saves just to be able to meet his value. And the problem with that is if Juarez nick a goal from them, what ends up happening, they're gonna be like, oh, I'm 1-0 up or whatever, and they're gonna try to sit back as well, which
Mhm.
limits his save possibility. So that's where you kind of run into problems where you pay up at goalkeeper, you pay up for the lowest goal odds, but if they score a goal and they're not chasing the game essentially, then you're wasting salary there at keeper.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Sarugi says, just bringing up a name here for goalkeeper. He wants to know if Akonis is a good play for just 4K. Either of you could chime in on
Yes,
that one.
yeah, and Nicolas Piconis. Yeah, yeah. Both of the goalkeepers from that game, they're pretty much in play. Like I said, that game is going to be 0-0-1-1. So he's fine. I think he's going to be the popular play actually at goalkeeper. But I I yeah, he's fine. He might be on my cash team too, just because it's going to be so popular.
And
For
then
me, I think Vaconis and Rodriguez, both from that game, they're coming up as the lowest fantasy value above replacement Frosty, and I think that's because
Okay.
that game will just be in the midfield all
Hmm.
game, as with any low-scoring games are. And so if they're not getting in the final third and they're not putting in shots, you're basically banking on a clean sheet, and that's it. So for
Yeah.
4,000 and 5,200, I mean, it's very easily could be 0-0, but both of them have a 23% win probability, which means, that's what, a 60% chance at a draw. And then
Yeah.
it's probably a certain percentage chance. I can't look at it now, based on a 0-0 draw. But the thing is they're not facing saves to give you the upside for that price. My favorite keeper for tonight would be Alfredo Salvador from
Hmm.
Pumas. Now he's a heavy underdog, but he's at expected saves of about 3.5 to 4. So he's probably not going to get the clean sheet, but he's going to get you 9 points, 10 points just based on saves alone. Whereas if Baconis and Rodriguez maybe save one each and get the clean sheet bonus, they're not going to win, and they might match that same total. But if they do one save and get the clean sheet, it's not going to be as high upside or even kind of high floor. I don't know. What do you think?
No, I agree with that. I like that call. I don't think there's any many clean sheets today. If anything, it will be Guzman. So if you do have the salary to pay up for him, that's fine. But yeah, if you're not gonna have the clean sheets anywhere, then I'd rather just pay down to either the Juarez goalkeeper or to Rodriguez, as you said. I mean Saldivar, sorry.
Salivar, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, now before we transition to each of yours favorite current price pick option, either whether it's for today's games or tomorrow's Liga games, is there any more goalkeeper knowledge bombs you want to drop on the viewers?
I think that's it.
Yeah, not
That's
too
it for
many
me.
options.
Yeah, I don't like goalkeeper is always the last player in for me. Always.
Gotcha. All right, so now we're transitioning to our Price Picks play. Now, if you have yet to create a Price Picks account, first, what have you been doing for the past, I don't know, what is it? Oh, it's actually been past 12 months now since we partnered with them. But go to www.prizepicks.online, create a free account, and then use promo code KARM to get yourselves a deposit bonus up to $1,000, I believe is still the promo. Now, how this works is you simply pick two to four players, and then you're choosing over under on the amount of fantasy projections that is listed under their face. And if you get all of them right, then you make yourselves a nice return. So we're just going to go over each of their favorite one, which you can take both of those, plug it in just to a 2-pick, pick the over under, whatever they say for the player. And then I believe, let me see, is there a cap right now for? No, the cap is $400. So yeah, you can essentially turn 400 into 1,000. All right.
Nice.
So, starting with you, Frosty, who is your favorite? I know you alluded to someone earlier in this stream, but who is your favorite Prize Picks play based on their current number?
I like the over on Nicolas Ibanez. He's at 7.0 right now, which means he needs a goal and a shot on goal. Or a shot, actually.
Yeah.
What's up?
I was going to say,
Yeah. And
go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, for San Luis. Yeah, the team. Nicolas Ibanez for San Luis.
Gotcha.
7.0. Yeah, man, I'm stuck between saying them in Spanish and English, and it just sounds weird.
All right, so over Ibanez, 7 points.
Yeah. I mean, like we said, like that game is like not expected to have a lot of goals, but if a goal happens, it will be because of him, right? And he will have couple shots on goal. So I don't mind that 7. I think it's a little bit low for somebody of his caliber.
All right, then look, who would your favorite be right now on the current number?
Yeah, system? I think I'm going to pull the trigger on Gignac. I know 10 is high. 10 is high. I'm going to go with the over on him, and the reason is there should be plenty of goals in this game. He's the focal point of their offense. He's got 62% chance to be involved in any goal that they have. So if they have 2 goals, if they have 3 goals, he could score all 3. He could assist on 2 and score on 1. He shoots a lot as well. So a lot of his stats from a DK point standpoint come from his shots and his goals. But if you take the goals away, he still has a pretty high average DK points scored per match, even when he doesn't score. So I think that will provide with some upside that you usually see with somebody like Harry Kane, for example, from Tottenham. He might not score, but he'll shoot on goal 12 times. I don't really like any of the others for tonight's games, Frosty. I think Mina is too high for that for facing Pumas' midfield. So I might lean under on him. Just because at 7.5, like you mentioned with Ibanez, I mean, he's going to need a goal and 2 shots maybe.
Yeah.
And especially since he's a midfielder. I don't know how far advanced he plays, but he probably has a better shot at getting an assist versus a goal. So, I think that caps his ceiling to get up to those 8 points that we need. So I think for me, I'm going to play over on Gignac, under on Mina.
Yeah, no, I like that. And Gignac over was my favorite play too, but I just wanted to follow up on what I was talking earlier. But yeah, Gignac over, that's solid. I don't know if Travis remembers any of the MMA price picks that maybe people can mix and match with those two.
Let me
That'd be a good
see. I
idea.
don't know. Let me see if they started yet.
Somebody started.
Yeah, I'm gonna check real quick to see if they're still available.
Yeah. If you
Yeah,
want, I
there's
can go
there's some
over.
available still
Yeah. Okay.
for
So
tonight.
yeah, so MMA, the one that Bales gave already finished, but the one that Dave gave was Johnny Walker. He's currently at 89.6. Let me see what he was touted at. He's out at 84.6, so there's a good
Oh,
5 point jump, but
yeah.
I feel like I don't know. Well, I don't want to say I'm not the MMA guy,
Yeah.
but that's a 5 point jump. But in the grand scheme of things, if he wins, he more than likely will cover. So you're pretty much playing for him to win at that point. But yeah, it was Johnny Walker over 84.6. So you can throw in the over if you want to get a little risky, or what you can do is you can do the flex. You can pick both of their players, the soccer players here, do the over, click over on Johnny Walker, even though he's 5 points higher. Click flex, so even if he doesn't hit, you still make a profit based on the how Prize Picks works, which is a good win-win situation. But yeah, so I think that pretty much wraps up the stream here. We do appreciate everyone tuning in. As I mentioned before, no matter what channel you're watching us on right now, as soon as this is over with, the live stream will be replayable. So if you caught us in the midfield spot, defender, goalkeeper, and you want like, okay, what forwards were they talking about? Well, just watch the replay. There's still a good 2 hours till lock. Also, go to karmamedia.live or simply type in DFS Karma in the YouTube search. Subscribe to our channel so you do not miss out on any more content. We are given all these knowledge bombs that I like to say. But that is it. So post those winning screenshots, whether you play Prize Picks and these both of these players hit, they're over, or you play DFS on the DraftKings side of things. If you win that 20K and you watch this live stream, give us a shout out. Throw that screenshot
Please
up.
let us know.
Please let us know. Throw that screenshot up on Twitter.
Yeah.
Tag the home account at DFS_Karma. But we'll see you guys. We're glad that we have more than zero sports today. So we have the MMA stuff, which we did live stream for, and this one as well. And as long as we have a soccer league, and as long as we have Frosty and Luke, the analytics wizard, then we're going to keep doing streams, keep doing cores here for you guys. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time. Good luck tonight.
See you guys.